Welcome to another episode of Locked On Blues. I'm your host, Haley Taylor Simon. Today, we have a lot to talk about, folks. We have Axel Sandin-Pellikka, who was one of the top defensemen in this year's draft. We also need to say our goodbyes to Panger after 14 long seasons. And then a fun little Friday segment called Are We Feeling Blue? Again, I'm Haley Taylor Simon, and this is Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
First off, I want to tell you guys thank you so much for making Locked On Blues your first listen every day. Everydayers. I love the fact that we're having such great conversations already on Twitter and social media about yesterday's episode. And I also want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, folks, that is LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, so as I promised you all, on yesterday's show, we talked a lot about prospects and what the Blues should do with their most loaded draft since 2015. Okay? They have the 10th, the 25th, and then the 29th overall picks, which is absolutely huge for the St. Louis Blues. So, Axel. What about Axel makes him such a great defender? What about him could we see going towards the Blues? And it is the fact that he is an offensive mind blue liner, which means that he is somebody that likes to play in the offensive zone. So while he is great at defense, protecting the D, protecting, the Blues defensive zone and all that, he also isn't afraid to be a little bit aggressive and to play up a little bit, which is something that I feel like we're missing on the St. Louis Blues, especially last season, was just the lack of aggressiveness. And I feel like he is somebody, again, he's young, he's 18. He still has a couple more years to develop. But the good news is that he would be such a great piece to add on to the St. Louis Blues. So he is 5'11 and 181 pounds. What does that exactly mean? It means that he still can build that muscle. He can still get bigger. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that he looks huge on ice, but again, he's young, and with a couple of years, you could see him add on maybe 20 extra pounds of muscle, and he could be a big guy out there. So I am not worried about that. But, even breaking him down and just looking, scoring 7 goals in this season, and, in 21, 2022, he scored 16. That is a lot for a defenseman. And without a doubt in my mind, could I see him being on the Blues? And I think I could. I mean, right now when we look at pairings, and who knows what's going to happen between now and then, right? You got to just keep you guys tweeted me, and we had a great Twitter conversation about Mr. Torrey, but we're going to get into that. So putting him, Nick Leddy, and Colton Parayko, I wouldn't change that line. I could see him being more on the third line defensive pairing. I don't think that it's safe to say that off the bat I would put him into the first line. I feel like you still need those guys that are the veterans on the ice that have just the most absolute talent. But again, I wouldn't be supposed to saying that he wouldn't be on a potential second defensive pairing. I think it just goes to show that these young guys are really coming into the league and making huge names for themselves. But Axel just, everybody wants him. And a couple of you folks on Twitter, because I did ask you, I said, let me know your thoughts on the episode. You can always tweet, not just me, which is Haley T. Simon. You can also tweet at Locked On Blues and let me know your thoughts. Again, my co-host Stella Gray is running around in the background. She loves being on camera. But you guys were saying that this is somebody that you like, but it's also somebody that other teams are trying to get. My other friends from the Locked On podcast, I saw Chicago did something, and they did it on Axel as well. And that makes me a little concerned. Well, no, because they have the first overall, so they're not going to do that. But the fact that all these teams have interest in him does concern me because Columbus, I mean, I know that he's not going to go third overall, but theoretically, if he did, then what would the Blues do? And I know, get the best player in the draft, and 100% they should. Having the 10th overall isn't a bad thing. While it would have been nice to have a little bit of a higher pick, maybe a 6th overall, that would have been nice. And we would have been having a completely different conversation. I am not worried that he will be off the board then, but it is something to keep in mind that he might go 9th overall. And I don't know how I would feel about that. So does St. Louis, and somebody on Twitter, I'm gonna continue talking while I look up this person's name. His name is Brett. He tweeted me, and Brett is a huge St. Louis Blues fan, and we had a great conversation this morning. And he even said, would it be so crazy to trade and make a trade package of like Torrey Krug, get rid of that insane contract? Because again, what were they thinking when they did that? And put in one of the first round draft picks, maybe he even said the 25th, and trade up. But I don't know. Like, I don't think any of the teams would do that. I can't see that happening. But it's also not something bad to keep in mind that, what if Mr. Armstrong decided, hey, let's try to trade up to get a higher pick in the draft. And I would feel better at a 6 overall. I don't think we're going to get past any. We're definitely not going to get within the top 3 if we even come up with a package. But we're definitely not. I'm not satisfied with 10, even though 10 is good. It would still be nice just to have a little bit more security. And I know I'm asking for too much, folks. I get that, but we can free up some of that cap space because that's going to hurt us. Get a little bit of a higher draft pick, or even trading up like we have the 29th. Maybe put that in a package and trade up the 25th and maybe get in the teens. I'm just brainstorming out loud here, but what would you guys like to see in everydayers? I want you to leave a comment below if you're on YouTube right now watching, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your podcast. Let me know on Twitter because I am curious. Do you think the Blues will utilize all 3 of their draft picks, or do you think they're going to put it into a trade right before the draft to get a higher pick? Let me know because I am very, very curious. So that is about Mr. Axel. He's going to bring so much energy on defense. He's going to bring that momentum, and the fact that he likes to play, more offensively is a good thing because this is what modern day hockey is. It's about going to. I have to be careful of what I'm going to say because while it's important to have defenders, close, to the defensive zone at all times, just in case, it's important to play with that aggression because you never know. And he likes to score 22 goals in his season, folks. Could you imagine if you put that kid out here on the ice with us and what he would do? We talked about it yesterday on the episode that, Cairo, he was our highest goal scorer, 37 goals. So a 22 goal scorer defenseman, 181 pounds, which is pretty good right now. He likes to play on the right. So there's a lot of things about him that I'm liking. And that is a little bit about, hopefully, our draft pick, Axel Sandin-Pellikka at 10th overall. And every episode leading up until the draft, we're going to be talking, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, about different prospects that I like and that you guys like, because on Twitter, a couple of you guys already sent me some prospects that you're thinking of. And I know everyone is saying the same thing. We need the Blues to choose the best player at 10 that is left on the board. But I truly do believe, and I'm not saying this because I do like Axel and I think that he would be beneficial. I truly believe that he's one of the best players in this draft defensively. I really do. So we would be silly to not try to get him and be a little bit aggressive. All right. Before we move on to a little side of a topic, I'm going to tell you guys about my friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the best ticketing service. It's good for sporting events. It's good for concerts. It's good for whatever you need a ticket for. Game Time has it. Game Time is fast, it's easy, and you never get scammed, and it is not stressful whatsoever. They have flash deals, last-minute deals, So if you want to go to, let's go say you want to go to a concert, maybe you guys like some music, and all of a sudden on the Game Time app, because this is how they are, it's like flash deal, 30% off. I'm like 30% off on a discounted ticket already. Boom, you're going in for cheap. So Game Time is the best. So you guys, make sure to snag tickets without the stress at Game Time and download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. And you have my word on that, Blues fans. So make sure you guys download the Game Time app. So I'm going to my phone right now because if you guys are on YouTube, I'm going to show you. If you're not on YouTube, I will just tell you. But I put up a Twitter poll about Darren Pang leaving. And it's funny because I was kind of like half joking when I made this poll because the only answer is yes, it's upsetting. So I said yes, which got 47%, and then yes but sad, which got 53%. So besides that, I thought that was funny because that got over like 98 votes. But it sucks. It really sucks. I know he played at Chicago, okay? But he was with us for 14 years, 14 seasons. You know, we heard his voice when the Blues hosted that Stanley Cup in 2019, and now he has gone to Chicago. And we all hate Chicago. So right off the bat, it just is heartbreaking. So I said to you guys, what are your thoughts on Darren Pang leaving? Reacting to your comments on tomorrow's episode. 15,000 of you saw, 1,500 of you saw that, not 1,000, I wish. But Panger leaving sucks. And a couple of you sent me some funny memes of like Peter Griffin from Family Guy, like crying. Same. That is a mood. But then this is what I like from the Face Off. My first hockey video game was NHL Face Off 99. Back when I was a new hockey fan, it featured Mike Emmerich and Darren Pang as the broadcasters. When it came to the Blues, I figured it would be a fun blast from the past. But he brought so much more to the game. Sad to see him go. And I really like that comment because it is true. He was that voice, and it's hard to explain to people that don't get it, but it was a comfort in a sense. Whenever you hear Panger and, you know, even how the players interacted with him, it just felt so comforting, and it just felt like he was a part of the team, and he was a part of the team. And Blues, I love this Twitter name, Blues Cup Champs 2019 said, congrats. Understand why, but it still sucks that it's the Blackhawks. It's going to be interesting to see who replaces him. And I like that question mentioned who would replace him on next week's episode. I believe it's on Wednesday. I have it all planned out, folks. We're going to talk about who you would want to see replace him. It's going to be a hard role to fill, but we're going to go over all that. Oh, it's Locked On Cardinals. My friends over at Locked On Cardinals. Make sure you guys check them out. They cover the St. Louis Cardinals, obviously. They said, it saddens me. His energy is infectious. And I couldn't agree but on that. We have some more memes of looking at the rain. Daniel says, it bummed me out more than any of the trades this past season. Yeah, it's, I'm not going to read all the comments because there were so many. But it just, as you guys can see on YouTube that are watching, there's way too many comments for me to personally read. It is definitely a lot. But, 14 years. And now he has a TV analyst position over in Chicago where he did play all 81 of his NHL games at. 14 years. And he wrote, I'm not going to read the whole letter, but I'm going to tell you guys about the letter. He wrote a beautiful, heartfelt letter to all the fans at St. Louis dating back to 2009 when he got the call about the position. And it really is sad. And we're losing somebody that's been such a big part of our team. And it's not even just the team, it's the fans. It's everything that makes us who we're losing. So, yesterday, it was just a sad day for St. Louis because we have at different players, and we're going to talk about, I can't talk about all that right now, folks, because I have a lot to talk about when it comes to each topic, but we've lost some great players that we really loved with some trades this past season. A little tease as to what other episodes might entail. But leaving Piker, it sucks. It's brutal. And I'm not going to get into the details of my thoughts on Bally Sports, but I just wish they could have done something to keep him. And I feel like all of us feel the same way because it just doesn't seem right. And it's tough because you can't replace his voice. You can't replace his energy or anything like that. It just sucks. And I know you guys feel the same way because I see all of your, tweets towards me, and it's one of those things like, who would you want to see replace him? Because right now I can't even think about that. And he's done so much, and there's just so many things, and just even when you're looking at the road to the cup and you're looking back and you hear his voice and you just get excited, there's just been so many things. And gosh, it just breaks my heart. So, Panker, we're going to miss you so much here in St. Louis. It is not going to be the same without you. I can tell you that. St. Louis hockey definitely lost a great one. But this is how he ended his letter. I'm going to read you this. So for now, I just want to say thank you to everyone I've mentioned, to everyone I may have forgotten to mention, but especially to you, the fans. You made this ride one that I will never forget. I'll be forever indebted for my life with the Blues and Bally Sports Midwest. Thank you for everything, and see you soon. So at the end of the day, I told you, it was all about the fans, and he loves everyone in this fan base. I'm getting really sad right now, y'all. I'm getting kind of sad. So to make me a little bit less sad, I'm going to tell you guys about my friends over at Bird Dogs. Okay, what are Bird Dogs exactly? Bird Dogs make you look good. Bird Dogs are stretchy khaki shorts, and they're designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and giving your leg a sculptured look. Trust me, they look amazing. They do the exact same things as Lululemon's, but they're just so much better. And they have these tumblers as well. And I'm telling you, like, these shorts are absolutely amazing. And if you want to be cool in the summer because it gets really hot, which I like the warm, but I'm also at the same time, I get hot easily. They're just lightweight material. So make sure you guys check out Bird Dogs. They're a great gift if you want to give your boyfriend a pair, if you just want to give anybody a pair. Bird Dogs are the best. But the best part about Bird Dogs is this. If you go to birddogs.com/lockedonnhl and enter promo code lockedonnhl, you get a free, and I am saying free 99, you get a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. Again, folks, that's birddogs.com/lockedonnhl for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. I promise you. We promise you. All right. So I told you about my new Friday segment. Are we feeling blue? Every single Friday here in Locked On Blues, we're going to talk about, are we feeling blue? Do we feel like this past week made us feel happy? Woohoo! Or are we feeling a little bit, we have like the blues? And trust me, I love the word blue because of the blues. Question to you. Sometimes like my camera cuts off for a second. Don't worry, I'm getting a new computer, folks. And I'm also moving, fun fact. Okay, are we feeling blue? So folks who are listening, are you feeling blue? I want a response in 3, 2, 1. Yes. Okay, we all said yes. We all said yes. I am feeling blue this week. I can't even think now about my excitement towards the draft because the only thing I can think about right now is Panger leaving. And I will get over it. Right now, I'm feeling a little bit blue. And I expect that to be the way that most of you guys feel today. And maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, maybe the day after that. We are all feeling like just a little bit blue. Um, that was my biggest feeling of the blue for the week. There's some other things that make me feel good, and that is, again, the NHL draft quickly approaching. But last night, I was watching the Stanley Cup Finals against the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights. It also breaks my heart seeing our former captain on the Knights and not with us. But, we're going to talk about captaincy. Don't worry. I know that's another thing that some of you guys wanted. We're going to touch on that. Trust me. We have a lot of episodes in the summer that we're going to be talking about different things. I love when you guys also, side note, leave me, ideas of what you want to hear, and we're going to get to it all. But anyways, back to the Cup Finals. And I thought to myself, I'm like, hey, didn't we demolish Florida? And we did. And I believe that Braden Shen had two goals in that game? It was something. But I think it was a 6-2 win over Florida at Florida. You guys, I'm not saying that makes me feel better in a sense, but if we're able to in the regular season demolish a team that is in the Cup Finals, it gave me some hope. And it was one of those things, I was sitting about to, watch the Stanley Cup, and I was like, wait, this arena looks familiar, because they were in Florida for the first time. And I'm like, I swear, I just remember the last time I saw this arena pop up on my screen, we demolished them, and that we did. We did pretty well at the end of the season. I mean, besides that 3-game losing streak, but we were holding it together. I mean, OT win against the Rangers in New York. Maybe it's when we just don't play at our house. I'm joking. We're fine. It's one of those things that makes you think, what truly is the identity of this team? Because we have the ability to win, and that brings me some joy. So that does not make me feel blue. That makes me feel hopeful. The fact that we're able to beat really successful teams in this league. And again, last season, argumentatively, one of our worst seasons in a while. I mean, we've been in the playoffs since 2018. We've made an appearance. So for us not to get back in the playoffs is supposed to, it felt weird. It really did. I'm used to watching some of my playoff hockey, and instead I'm watching other teams, which is cool for them, good for them. But for us, I mean, it just sucks. And I think the number one thing that we need to get back to is making it to the postseason. And that's what all this season should be about, is how we can get back to the postseason. I'm not going to be unrealistic and say, how do we win another cup this next season? But I can be realistic and say, how can we get back to the postseason? Oh man, it really sucks. It sucks when everything kind of just fell apart, and it just happened suddenly. And that's why this NHL draft coming up, it's very important to us, because this draft will solidify the talent that we're going to be having on our team within the next couple years. So I'm just hoping that it all goes well, but that makes me feel somewhat positive, is that fact. Our division isn't the toughest division. I was being a little dramatic yesterday when I said it's the toughest division. It's not. We definitely next season are going to be better obviously than the Yotes, and we're going to be better than the Blackhawks. And I feel like the Jets had a fluky season. We're going to be better than them. There is a lot about this season that does not make me worried coming up. But I will be worried if there's no trades this summer. I need some trades. Listen, Torrey Krug, I don't have any problems with you personally, but your contract is taking up way too much money in cap space. We need to get rid of you. I'm sorry. I have to be the one that says it. I just got to be honest. I have to say it. And that's where we're going to end today's episode, because I have a question for you guys, and I want my everydayers to answer this in the comments below, because we're going to talk about it in next week's episode. I teased it a little bit today, but I need to know, who would you like to see be your next St. Louis Blues captain? Or do you think we even need a captain? Let me know because I have a really interesting take on this one. All right, Blues fans, I will see you all next week. Make sure you stay tuned because I will be posting some funny YouTube shorts and different things in our TikTok. But until then, I will see ya and let's go Blues.